Welcome back to another episode of Realtime Talk. This episode is a continuation of the last episode with Kevin Brouet looking at the GAAA. So if you haven't listened to the last episode going over the G, which is God-fearing, I would suggest that you go look at that first. So, like I said in the last episode, the GAAA series is to give you a preview of what the rest of the Adventist home is going to look like. So we have this mini series where we talk about the GAAA, which is a theory on how to look for a partner that came from Kevin Brouet. So I hope you enjoy this episode, and please listen to all these episodes before you move on to chapter 6.
Which brings us to our next section. So we go to academic, okay? Now, sorry just to cut the conversation, but it's all going to play together because we talk about communication, which is one of the subsections, you know? Mm-hmm. In academic, it's basically talking about how the person's mind is, okay? So where are they mentally? And you want to check out their intelligence, right? And that's not to say, oh, listen, this person doesn't know calculus, so they're dumb, you know? That's not what it is, because smarts come in all shapes and sizes, you know? Like there's street smarts, book smarts, you know, social smarts, emotional smarts. These are things that are actually very important in a relationship. If, say, Brittany, say you're chilling at home, John comes in, and you are clearly down, but this guy can't see that on your face, and he just keeps going. Like you say, you're a person, you just want to be loved, you know? Mm-hmm. And all you want from that day is just John to come and hold you, you know? Yeah. This guy looks at you, thinks everything's okay. Like, he'll go about his business because he thinks you're good. But inside, you're feeling messed up, you know? Like, you can't be living like that because you'll be emotionally stressed. And there's one thing I know a lot of women like to do. They say, I'm fine. You know?
Well, I am sorry. That is a lie. Not only women do that. This person does that so often. Guys do it just as much.
Listen, guys do it just as much. But let me tell you, when guys say they're fine,
they're not fine.
Oh, they might not be fine. But we can just sit down on a chair, look at the wall. Yo, I'm fine now. Let me go. You know, like that's not the issue.
The thinking of nothing.
Yo, bro. Look at a white wall, bro. Your brain shuts off, bro. But like the thing is, watch me.
Insulting. I don't know how you do that.
It's easy. It's easy. You're overthinking. That's what's happening.
It's a God-given gift.
Yeah, listen. But like, let me. But back to the whole fine thing. You know, so in one of my what's it called? Yeah, in the introduction, I didn't tell you guys this. I did police foundation. Okay, and we did a lot of like social classes, understanding what people do, how people react in certain situations. And we got a guest speaker, and this guy said something that really stuck with me. He's like, what you need to understand, when people say they're fine, they're not telling you how they are. They're giving you, it's a code, it's an acronym. I'm like, yo, what are you talking about, bro? They're saying they're fine. It's like, no. Fine stands for feelings inside not expressed. I was like, gee, okay, we're getting somewhere. Now for me, I have a 3-strike rule, okay? If I come up to somebody and I say, yo, how are you? Yeah, I'm fine. That's one. I say, they're not fine. Let me ask again. Yeah, how are you? I'm fine. Okay, you know what? One more time. How are you? I'm fine. Okay. At this point, I say, yo, you clearly don't want to talk to somebody. When you're ready, I'm ready to talk, you know? I'll let them go. But that's me, and people react a whole different way. All people do stuff. Maybe it's like the whole no means yes thing, which is very, very confusing. Like, I say I'm a yes means yes and a no means no type of guy. If you say, yo, do you want me to hang out with you? And you say no, I'll go about my business. Don't call me later. Yo, I wanted you to hang out with me. Don't do that. Don't do that to me.
Let me explain that. If a girl says, no, I don't want to hang out, it's because she wanted you to know that you should have come to surprise her instead of asking to hang out.
No.
That's not how we work.
Let me tell you something.
If you want to hang out with us, you need to communicate that as a yes. Okay? Because you tell a guy, okay, he comes up to you, you want to hang out, and you're like, no, I want you to surprise me. I want you to figure it out on yourself. Guys are just like, oh, it's a no, and they'll plan the rest of their day.
Let me tell you, back to the whole turning off your brain thing. I want you to understand, men are very simple. Very, very simple. Listen, if I tell you, yo, John, the sky is blue.
It's blue.
That's it. That's it. But then I'm finding people, yo, he said the sky was blue. So what does that actually mean? You know, it's like, yo, what are you talking about? Why are you going deeper? You know, and this whole thing, like for me personally, I don't like surprises. I personally like to know all the possible outcomes of something and how to actually deal with these things. So if someone says no, to me, a no is a no. You don't want me to hang out with you right now. You're doing something. Cool. I understand you have your own life. But don't come back at me and say, oh, you should have figured it out. Like, excuse me? What are you talking about?
I mean, but if you have that conversation with the person that you're dating and you're like, I'm not going to figure it out. You need to tell me how
no one's going to figure it out. It's not I. No one's going to figure it out.
Because I'm thinking of like situations that we have been in where I'm like, he's like, I'm going to be there at 5. And I'm like, okay. And then he's not here at 5. And I'm like, maybe he didn't call me when he left because he's going to come over to surprise me. And then he's still not here at
Let me tell you about the thinking too deep.
Yeah. Stare at a blank wall.
Yeah,
but then I'll call you and I'm like, where are you? And you're like, oh, I haven't left yet. And I'm like,
stuff.
Listen,
sometimes you get held up and...
But that's where the communication comes in. So like,
yes, tell me that you have.
So we're going communication subsection C, okay? So we still got 2 subsections on top of that. So as we were talking, academic is knowing where the person is, right? And it's not that you're smarter than them or they're smarter than you. Can you work with them, you know? So if one person's at a certain level, say we're going to use level 5 out of 10, okay? One person's at 5, one person's at 1. Now, if that person at 1 understands, hey, listen, this person's at 5. I want to better myself. I want to reach level 5. They're working, you know? The same way you're at level 5. You need to be working for level 10, okay? Don't be complacent. Don't rest on your laurels where you're just like, yo, I'm good where I am. Because if someone's at 5, as they're dating someone who's at 1. 1 is out here, yo, give me my green skies and my blue grass. I'm happy, you know? Like, that person, like, you can try and change them. That's in air quotations, by the way. You can try and change them. But that normally doesn't work. Like, people are going to be who they are, okay? So, if that person's not striving, trying to work, you most likely can't work with that. Like, John, I'm sure you've worked with metal before. When metal is cold, how hard is it to actually mold?
It is very challenging.
Okay, but
you
once
you walk away as much as you want.
But once you heat it up, now it's like, okay, now I can actually work with this.
It's almost like clay.
Exactly, man. Just that's what it is, you know? But now here's the thing. If that person's striving to meet you where you are and you're striving up, you're both learning. You're both trying to get there. And we go back to the G with the isosceles love triangle. If you're both striving for A, that is how you two are going to get closer. Okay? That's what it is. So you look at all these things and it's like, okay, can I talk to this person? Does this person know when I'm feeling sad? You know, can they cheer me up? Okay, if I'm in this situation, are they knowledgeable enough to get through this? Now, if they're not knowledgeable enough, are they willing to actually learn with me? Like, these are all the questions these are things you need to know. Now, guys, I ask these questions. I'm not a doctor in any way. I'm just a regular person. I put my pants on one leg at a time. I said this already. But yeah, these are just my thoughts, okay? Now, we get to the subsections. Unless there's any questions on the big umbrella right now.
No, keep going.
Any comments? You're good? Okay, subsection A. We look at ambition, okay? Now, people say ambition was the fall of Caesar, okay? But if you did not have a grade 10 English class where they read Julius Caesar, you probably not catch that reference. But watch this. Stop me if you heard this one before. 2 people, before they get married, decide to live with each other. Okay, happens every day. But you know, they're a good Christian couple. So the guy's sleeping on the couch and the girl's sleeping in the bedroom. Cool. Now, the girl every day goes out, makes the money, pays the bill, and does everything. And the guy's chilling on the couch, playing his video game console, living the dream, you know? Now, this woman's out here every day. Hey, are you going to get a job? Oh, I'll look later, says the guy. Every day ask, how's that job hunt going? Oh, it's coming. All these things, you know? Now, for those of you who are just listening and have not had the pleasure of seeing one of our master classes, normally, I have somebody who has been holding a chair since the beginning of the conversation, okay? And they're holding this chair for a long time with their arms out. And by this time I say, let me ask you, How do your arms feel? And you're like, yo, my arms are sore. Is this and this? Some people try to be like, they try to be bosses, and they're like, yo, I could go a couple minutes. Like, okay, let me continue. And then, no, let me put the chair down, you know? So now their arms getting tired, they put the chair down. So I say, okay, what does that have to do with ambition, you know? Watch. The same way you're holding up a chair was never designed to be held. The chair is there to support you. Same as your significant other. They are there to support you. If you're out here supporting them, they're not lifting a finger, they're not doing anything. Now, granted, I know there are certain situations that we're not going to look into right now, but they're not doing anything, you know? You are supporting them. That's an extra burden on your life. For what? A promise of marriage down the road, but right now, all this happens, this is festering, and it's going to make a bigger problem, you know? Like, this is your mental health, you know? This is your financial problems, you know? This is your spiritual pain, all these things. That the pain, that person who's holding the chair, all that pain in their arm is representative of that, you know? Your chair is supposed to support you. You are supposed to be your partner's chair. Your partner is supposed to be your chair. You're supposed to support each other. When you're not doing that, like, it's, hey, what's going on? And I say ambition because you need to know, as yourself and your partner, where you're going, who is going to take there, and that who should be God. Because we sit here and say, yo, I'll do this. And like, just from my own life, I tried that, you know? I said, listen, I will do this. And the Lord humbled me quick, okay? Like, listen, you know? So if your partner or you are out here and you have not figured out all these things, it's not, you don't need to have all the answers, okay? Because God's there to guide you, okay? You don't need the answers. But if you don't know how to get the answers, you have no direction in life, I personally think a relationship is not for you at this time. That's what I think.
Facts.
Okay?
You always need to make sure that you are always seeking to become better. If you're not seeking to become better, you're like an ox going in circles.
So now we get to subsection B. Any guesses on what that is, guys?
I'm trying to remember because you explained them to me and I can't remember.
Wow, this is how I know how it's being received, eh? People not remembering the GAAA.
Is it behavior?
Nah, it's budgeting, bro.
That's it.
And normally, a lot of times that people come to budgeting, they only think about money, okay? And yes, I read somewhere one day, a long time ago, and everyone likes to quote, 50% of marriages are ruined because of money problems. Now, I've never been in a marriage. I've never ended a marriage. I don't know, okay? I have not done that study. I'm just throwing it out from what I've heard. If you would like to find that study and send it to me, I'm more than welcome. You know, I'll read it. But yeah. Money is a big issue when it comes to a relationship, you know, especially a marriage. But this is not the type of budgeting we really need to look at. Yes, that is important, but we also have to look at time, okay? Time is the biggest thing we need to budget because you look at a guy in a relationship. Men, we love to provide, okay? If you find a woman that you want to provide for, you are going to provide, okay? You have children, you're going to provide. But the thing here is a lot of men will throw themselves into work to get all that money to provide for their family. But at the same time, they neglect their family because they're coming home, they're tired. They can't even talk to their wife. They can't talk to their children. And the thing here is, at the end of the day, children just want to be with their parents, okay? Because you see a whole lot of rich people. Like my aunt, she is like, for lack of a better term, a celebrity nanny. Like she goes to these rich people's houses and takes care of their children. And she tells me that, like, yo, these children, yes, they have a good relationship with her, but they just want to be with their parents. There's something that's just like, they have that link, you know? And when they're not with their parents, yes, their needs are being met. They're getting fed. They get to watch their TV. They get washed, all that stuff, you know? But it's just something that when they get to sit down with mommy and daddy, it's just something that bonds them together. So when one of the parents are out here working hard and the child does not have time, you know, a lot of parents like to throw gifts at their children, you know, like, here's the latest game system, here's this. Yeah, the child will see that for the first like couple days. Yes, they have fun and however long that can last, but at the end of the day, they just want to spend time with their parents, you know. So you have to, especially when you're thinking individualistically, who are you spending that time with, right? First and foremost, I would suggest you spend that time with God. okay? Because at the end of the day, he's the one that's taking you from point A to point B, okay? Spend that time with God first and foremost. Then your family. You know, you have to have your time with your significant other. You need to have that time with your spouse and with your children, you know? They don't necessarily need to be together, but they do need to have their time. And then I would say with work, you know, because listen, all these workplaces, I don't know how indispensable you are, but like, I know for me, yes, I have a pretty good job, but if I quit today, they're gonna have another person. Yeah, that's it. Like, I'm not special, you know? So even though I can be replaced tomorrow, I have to set my boundaries, you know? I have to say, you know what? I do have a family. Hey, I do have people in my life that I would like to spend time with and nurture these relationships, you know? Like, yes, it's good to have money in the bank account. Yes, it's good to be able to provide. But if I'm just at work 24/7, sending money back home, like, what's really happening?
I mean, if you go into the psychology side of it a little bit, when it comes to the time that you spend with your family, you have different types of attachment between your child and the parent.
Mm-hmm.
And when you have a secure attachment, the child will take that secure attachment into their relationships going on, and they'll have like happy and secure relationships. Whereas if you have like completely avoidant attachment, then the kid just kind of has to deal with, they're independent from birth, and then they don't know how to have a relationship. And I think either or of those two are the better choice, because if you have ambivalent, where a parent is there but they're not there, and they push and pull, that kid will have so many trust issues and be so codependent on their partner that they won't know how to be on their own. And when they are with their partner, they take all of their time. And like, I mean, I'm like that. My mom was there, but she wasn't. She had really bad postpartum depression, and she was like really iffy, and we have a weird relationship because of that. And like, when I'm in a relationship, I'm like, I need you to spend time with me. I need you to spend time with me all the time. And I've been trying to work on that, because it gets to the point where he gets nothing done. Because I'm like, no, sit with me. And he's like, I could be doing this. I could be doing this. I have homework. I have this. And I'm like, no, sit with me and talk about nothing.
Like, yo, listen, it's funny you bring that up, because I was actually looking at that just last night, you know?
Okay.
I was actually, because like, the conference, they did a seminar, or what do they call it these days? Like a Zoom talk, something like that. It was on Zoom, you know.
Yeah.
And I missed it because during that time I was preoccupied. I was doing other things, you know. But my friend sent me the link, and I was looking at that. And when you were talking about the whole avoidant attachments, and which was the last one you just said?
Ambivalent.
Yes, where people are there, not there, but you have to be like independent, you know.
Yeah.
Like, I was looking at that and I'm just like, wow. Because like this guy, he went through all of them. It's like, now how does that relate to God, you know? And I looked at it because for me, like, I was the middle child. And John, you know the struggle, you know?
Yeah.
Like, the older is loved, in air quotations again. They seem like they're loved more, and so is the younger seem like they're loved more. And like, for my experience, like, I had to learn to do a whole lot of stuff myself. So much so that when my brother or my sister asked me for help, like, I'm just like, but bro, this is so simple. You're older. Why don't you know how to do this, you know? But like, at the same time, we didn't live the same experience, you know? Like, I figured, you know what? I have to learn this. So I learned it, you know? I need to be independent. I need to do this myself. And I know for me, it has really taken a toll on my relationship with God, because a lot of the times I sit back, and not until I can't take a step, I don't ask God for help, you know? Because one thing that I do see in a lot of relationships, a lot of families and other people's relationship with God, is like, that I really admire, is that you can lean on God, you know, and you can lean on your family. That's not to say I can't lean on my family. I know, like, hey, if I need help, I can call them. But before I call my family, before I call God or anybody, I actually, like, let me exhaust everything, because I don't want to be a burden to this person. I want them to know I can do this. And something I have to remind myself is, listen, I can never be a burden to God. Okay? God is just calling me to be there. He just wants me to ask him. He's ready to give. But yet still, and this is the whole how parents can mess up children, you know? It's like, yo, even me knowing this, consciously I know That I stubbed my toe, I can say, yo, God, listen, my toe stubbed, I need your help. And he's like, yo, bro, I got you, you know? But even like it's just ingrained in me, and I have to unlearn this, where it's like, you know what? Let me call on God right now. Let me not go off and spin my wheels until I can't anymore, you know?
Honestly, I'm the same way. I'm also a middle child, just by the way.
Hey, yo, get that, you know? Yo.
But, so for me, I always found that it was like, if I'm like, so I'm of 3, so there's older sister, younger brother, and like, so right now, my older sister and my older brother still live with my parents, and it's really hard for my older sister to watch me in the position that I'm in. I own my own house, I have a full-time job, and I'm engaged.
Yeah.
She's like, why am I not in that position? But we grew up differently. And I had to do everything on my own, and in the sense of like, I had to pay for all my things. I had to do everything, and it got to the point where my brother could just live.
Yo,
and
that's my sister, man.
he would be, my mom would be proud of him. Oh, but he doesn't have friends, look how great he's doing. Oh, but he doesn't do this, but look how great he's doing with what he has. And then I'm here, and
Ambition.
I did so much to try to make my parents proud, to the point where I'm like, you know what, everything I did brought me to a place where I'm proud of me, but I did all that to make my parents proud, and they're like, okay, cool. And you're like,
dude, that's the thing.
I did so much work for them to just be like, all right. And that push and pull relationship makes you into the type of person that like, you feel like you can't rely on anyone, and it's really hard to rely on God when you can't rely on anyone.
That's the thing.
And it's you, like, I find it hard because coming into the church, people expect you to have the mentality, trust people at their word. And I'm like, no, you have to give me a reason to trust you, or I will not trust you.
Just because you're a pastor doesn't mean I need to trust you.
That's
just
because you're an elder doesn't mean I need to trust you.
That's the thing. People are people. People are human. You know, they're all gonna stumble. You know,
And
a title means nothing.
I trust like no one. I have a hard time doing that, and honestly, we had talked about it at one point, and John was like, okay, you're at the point where you don't trust people so much that when people are trying to help you and give you advice before you stumble, you don't listen, because you're like, I don't need this, I can do it on my own. And I've always done that, and I've stumbled hard because of that. And you have to try to learn how to listen to people again.
Well, that's the thing, and like, we're all middle children. We pretty much live the same life. Yeah, like, it is hard. It is hard because, like, for me, I know, like, I have my plan set, you know? I know, like, if I do A, I will get to B. If I do B, I'll get to C. And I put things up, and I know where the dominoes will land, you know? And then I see people, like my sister, she, like, I try having conversation with her, I'm like, yo, but what's the plan? Yo, I'm just going to do it. And I'm just like, yo, what? Like, I wish I had that type of confidence, you know? Like,
I know.
Because, like, for me, it's not a fear of failure. It's just, if I fail, I have to restart. Yeah. You know? It's like, like, that makes no sense.
You don't want to waste all that progress and time and energy that you put into something just for it to end in failure.
Yo, but that's the thing. Because I feel, because we, quote, air quotations, don't have anyone to lean on, we need to take these precautions to say, listen, I have no safety net unless I make that safety net before I go and do this. Yeah. Whereas, you know, they have a stable relationship, stable attachment style, you know? Yeah. Where it's like, my parents are my safety net. You know what? Let me go off into the world. Let me go make my mistakes. Let me go do this and say, ouch, mom, I scraped my knee. Oh, mommy, come kiss the knee, you know? Yeah. Like, that's the thing. And I'm not saying that we can't break out of it. But it's going to be hard, you know? Like, I know for me, I'm working on that, you know? Yeah. And, yo, listen, it's a day-by-day thing. Day-by-day thing.
Honestly, personally, now that we're going through Adventist home and stuff, for me, there's a lot of things that Ellen White says that I'm defensive about. Because I'm like, I read it, and I'm like, that's not how it is. And I'm like, okay, maybe that is how it is. Like, I'm like, I have to stop myself, because I'm like, you know, there's a part
where she targets you personally, and you're like,
she does.
I can't.
But there's a part where she talks about a man choosing a wife, and she talks about how she's like, are you sure that the woman that you're choosing isn't just gonna like flip on you and make you forget about your parents at the time where they need you most? And for me, I'm like, if they're causing me to lose my mind and they're becoming a burden to my spouse's mental health and mine, no way am I going to put myself in a situation where I'm helping you. No, you can do it on your own. I did it on my own. And that's how I am. And I read that and I was like, 100% people see me this way. They see me as that girl that's coming to steal your son and I'm going to leave. And I'm like, the reason they see me that way is because I don't want to be that way, but I'm like, if you put any kind of roadblock in my way, I'm leaving you out of my life.
Like, that's the thing. Like, just the tension. Like, listen, I love my parents, I love my siblings, I love my relatives, you know? But sometimes it's just like, I hear them, and they're talking about things they have no idea about. And I'm just like, why are you telling me this? You don't know what I'm doing. You don't want to listen to what I'm doing. And only when I succeed, you want to come and talk to me, you know? So it's just like, just let me do my thing, you know? Let me do my thing.
Yeah.
So, which brings us to the next subsection.
Okay.
Communication, subsection C. This is a heavy one. Because a lot of the time, especially in this culture today, we have this thing called cancel culture. Where, oh, this person didn't say hi to me? Cut them.
Yeah.
Let me not talk to them. And to me, that's not how I am. Like, I've had friends who have wronged me, you know? But there's things that I have taken, the example of God, you know? Forgiveness, you know? That's one big thing for me.
Yeah.
And I love people. If anybody knows me, I love being around people, you know? So if I can make a new friend, I will make a new friend. I knew this guy back in the day. And you know when you're going to church, John, when you're just going to church, you're in Sabbath school, all the kids are, air quotations once again, friends, you know?
Yes.
Yeah.
And because you're of the same age, you're definitely going to be friends, right? So I was hanging out with this one guy. And like his attitude, even at a young age, it was just like, no, these aren't things I would do, you know? No, these aren't things I would say. You know, I don't really want to hang out with this person. And then like, my parents would say, oh, why don't you go hang out with this person? I'm like, Mom, really? Not really. So I wasn't forced to have that relationship with this person. But throughout life, he had a huge revelation in 180, you know? And then he messaged me out of the blue. He's like, yo, listen, I realized when I was younger, I've done some things, I may have hurt you, and I'm asking for your forgiveness, and if we can be friends, you know?
Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about. I believe you did the exact same thing to me. I was like, whoa, that's huge of you, bro. Like,
yeah.
I don't... It would take a lot for, like, a lot of people to just do a 180 and go to people who they wronged so long ago in the past and be like, I'm sorry.
Yo, that's the thing.
Hardcore courage.
But after this guy said that to me, like, at this point, I have nothing against you, okay? So he said, can we be friends? I said, yo, boss, why not, you know? And, like, I find if you are, that's what I see in God, you know? If you are genuine in your repentance and you say, hey, listen, God, I know I did X, but I promise you I'm not going to do X again. Please forgive me. God has no problem forgiving you, you know?
Even if you do X again.
That's the thing. Like, he knows you're going to stumble. Yeah. And like from that example I take, and I like to apply that in my life, you know? There's people who have wronged me, I have wronged people, and I want to go and I want to apologize. But when anybody comes to me and says, hey, can we be friends again? If you have just said, I'm sorry, I'll take you back as my friend. But like, if you wrong me again, you know, we're going to go through that same cycle again. But like, this guy came back, he's like, yo, I'm sorry. We're friends to this day, you know? Yeah. We recently went on a flipping 36-hour road trip, you know? Like, listen, road trips are another story. But yeah, you know, like, if I was to tell 5-year-old Kevin, hey, you see this guy that's irking you right now? You're going to go on a 36-hour road trip with this guy and you guys are going to have fun? I'd be like, yo, who are you talking to? You're that guy? No. That's the thing. So, back to communication, you know? We need to let our feelings known, okay? Like, people are out here, like I say, canceling for the smallest things. You walk into church and you generally don't see somebody And then this person gives you the silent treatment next time you're at church. Like, yo, what's going on? Silent treatment, silent treatment, silent treatment. Until you like, okay, we actually need to sit down. Oh, 3 weeks ago you didn't say happy Sabbath to me. It's like, yo, what are you talking about? like, you know, this makes no sense, you know? Like, this is nonsense, you know? And how you feel in a situation, granted, you might not be in the mindset to talk it out. You might not. But it really simplifies relationships when you can just say, hey, you hurt me this way, and I would appreciate it if you didn't do that again. As simple as that. Example, I went to a retreat. I go to a lot of retreats. I went to this one retreat, and one of my friends, I was sitting with her, and we joke about everything, you know? Mm-hmm. And this retreat, I didn't have a vehicle this time. For anybody who knows me, once I bought my car, you don't see Kevin without his car. I didn't have a vehicle, and I had to rely on my brother to drive me down. And you already know how I feel about my brother and his car at the time. You know? Like, that was one trip. So what happened was, my brother drove me up to the retreat. The plan was he was going to go to the retreat too, and drive me home. That was the plan. Tell me how, halfway through that first night, this guy got the bright idea, you know what? I'm just going to go home. Man didn't tell me. So I'm looking around, going, I'm like, have you seen Kendall? Have you seen him? Have you seen him? Everyone's just like, yo, I think he left. So I text him like, yo, bro, where are you? Yo, I'm home. My guy, what was the plan, bro? How was I supposed to get back? Oh, why don't you take the bus? Joke. You're not allowed on the bus if you're not registered for the bus. I was like, yo, you're mad, bro. You're actually mad. Anyway, so after I got that information, I go and sit down with my friends. And she's like, oh, hey, where's Kendall? So, you know, I make a quick, like, a snooty remark. I'm just like, yo, Kendall said, oh, I don't want to see your face anymore, so we left, you know? And, like, the people around the table, they laughed, you know? I laughed. Like, it was meant as, like, just a fun little thing, you know? But later on, my friend, she came up to me, she's like, yo, Kevin, that comment you made, it made me feel this way, and I would really appreciate it if you didn't say that again, or things like that in general. I was like, for me, I literally thought nothing of it. Like, I didn't even know that was anything, you know, because quick, you know, just quick jokes, you know, like little off the shoulder, little brush thing, you know. I didn't think of anything. And then when she came and told me, I was like, oh, I actually hurt one of my friends. And that's the last thing I want to do, you know. Like, I love my friends. I don't want to hurt them. So when she came to tell me these things, I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, you know, like, this won't happen again. But I really appreciate you coming to tell me, because what would have happened? Say she didn't tell me. Mm-hmm. She would be stewing over that, you know, having a false impression of me in her mind, you know. But on my end, because she's not telling me, I'm living my life like I'm living my life, you know, like I don't know this. Yeah. And not until maybe weeks, days, months down into the future, I'm talking to her, trying to have a good time. But because all she can remember is, hey, Kevin wronged me at this time, you know. Now she's gonna blow up. Boom. You know? So what I'm trying to say is communicate with your spouse, you know? Talk to them. Mm-hmm. Say, this is what I expect, and this is not what I appreciate, you know?
We've been working on that a lot, just like learning how to understand your own emotions to begin with. Because, I mean, you can't communicate your emotions if you don't even know what's happening. That's the thing. And I mean, it's okay to not be okay. Like, it's okay to sit down and be like, no, you know what? Like, I don't feel good today, and I want to talk about that. And, like, understanding each other's feelings and being okay with the fact that the other one has feelings. Mm-hmm. Because it's, how are you supposed to, you can't just stew on things like that. Because then that's how that, like, stereotypical fight between a married couple comes up, and, like, the woman comes out with something that happened 25 years ago, and it was just like, you didn't look at me right, like, and then the marriage blows up because of that. And I'm like, yeah, you could have resolved all of this had you dealt with the problems as they came.
Communication is key, you know? When you and your partner get into a problem, you need to understand it's not you versus your partner, you know? It's you and your partner versus the problem, okay? A lot of the time, people come out here and they're just like, oh, listen, this person throws his dirty clothes or her dirty clothes on a chair in the room, you know? I don't like that. Then they get into an argument. And as you were saying, when you just explain how this makes you feel, John was feeling attacked, you know? And a lot of people do feel attacked, but when you take that time to actually explain, no, I'm not attacking you. This is just the fact, how do we work through this? Because now that you're both on the same side, now you can say, okay, this is the problem. What steps are we going to take to fix this problem?
Yeah.
And that's how we can move on,
That also translates into your kids. When you have kids and you actually express to them how things make you feel, then they can tell you how they feel. If you're the parent and you're just telling them, like, you get mad at them for things, they feel like that you're mad at them and that you don't like them as a person. Unless you explain, I don't like what you did. It's not that I don't love you, it's that I don't like what you did or how that made me feel. Kids don't understand that. I mean, neither do adults. Like, you have to explain these things. You have to, and you can't go into something and be like, I don't know, that, like, there's certain things that maybe the way you talk to me kind of thing, and you attack. Some people do attack the other person, or like, you do this because you're trying to hurt me, and they feel like it's a personal jab, and it's like, no, these are just things that I didn't even think before I did it. Now let's talk about it and deal with it, kind of thing. And acknowledging each other's emotions goes a super long way in a relationship, because if you don't acknowledge each other's anything, then it's just like there's always an elephant in the room, and you just never want to be in the same room with that person. It's not gonna work.
You can't start a relationship with an elephant in the room. You can't.
Not enough space.
Exactly. Not enough space. So I think that concludes academic, unless there's any other thoughts, any questions.
So that concludes the second episode of the GAAA mini-series. Thanks for listening to this episode about academics, and we hope that you come back for the next section. And if you have any questions or comments, or you want to get in touch with Kevin, send us an email at info.lessonsforyou@gmail.com, or you can find us on Facebook at Realtime Talk Podcast, or you can find us on Instagram at realtime_talk. Please leave us a review on Facebook, on Apple Podcasts, wherever you want to leave reviews. And any feedback is helpful to us so that we can better help you. Thanks for listening, and stay in school. Sabbath school. Stay in Sabbath school.